大家好，我是来自英国的戴淑轩。因为许多人的英文是在中学学的，但是课本赶不上实际会用的英文，所以今天我想介绍5个人们不再使用的用法。我听说还有很多学生正在使用这些词，你也是吗？以下可以告诉我。The first word I've heard students use, which is not used so often anymore, is seldom. Seldom, meaning not often or not frequently. So in the past, this word was used more often, but these days, you're not really going to hear people say seldom in speaking. It has the feeling of being very kind of posh, but in an outdated kind of way. So I would say to not use the word seldom. Instead, you can say rarely. I rarely do something. So yeah, instead of seldom, you can say rarely. Next, we have the question, how do you do? Which again has the feeling of being a very well-spoken traditional English gentleman. How do you do? Yeah, people don't really speak like that anymore. Instead, you can say, how are you? So in a previous video, I was mentioning cultural differences, and I mentioned how in the UK people often say, how are you? Which is similar to 你吃饱了吗? And some people commented saying, can you say, how do you do? But that's not really used so often anymore. Again, that's quite old-fashioned, outdated. So just say, how are you? That's fine. Or how's it going? Hey, what's up? Something like that. Then we've got the word the web. So previously, maybe 10 or 20 years ago, people would say the web for the internet. It's short for like website, the World Wide Web. People don't say web anymore. They say internet. Yep, so that's an outdated word. You might still see it occasionally, but just so you know, in speaking, people don't really say the web anymore. They say the internet instead. Then we have courting, to court someone, which is sort of like 追某个人, like pursuing or trying to woo someone. This word courting, again, maybe was used in the past, but it's not used anymore. In fact, the concept of kind of courting someone is also a little bit outdated. Like I said in my dating video, even though it still might mostly be the guy who pursues the girl, it's becoming less and less clear-cut like that. So you wouldn't really say, oh, he's pursuing her. You might say he likes her, or he's interested in her, or maybe he wants to ask her out, or he wants to go out with her. And it can be the other way as well. To go out with someone in British English can mean just to go outside with friends, but it can also mean they are in a relationship. So instead of courting, you could maybe say pursuing, but it's better to say she likes him, or she's interested in him, or she wants to go out with him. And the last one is mother or grandmother. So you definitely will have seen these words in textbooks, and they're technically correct, like there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that in speaking, people don't really say mother or grandmother so often. Most people say mum. Grandmother can be different ones depending on the person. Some people say grandma, some people say granny, some people say nan. Those are the most common ones. So me, for example, I had one grandma on one side of the family and one we called granny on the other side. And I think that was to distinguish between the two, which one is which. Grandmother would sound sort of outdated. Yeah, people don't really say that, especially in speaking. You might see it written down, but yeah, that's just mother and grandmother can be mum or grandma, granny, nan. So that's pretty much all I wanted to mention today. I hope there hasn't been too much sound getting in the way, because I am outside. It's a lovely day today. And 谢谢收看，我是戴淑娟，我们下次见喽。